Hello students, welcome to this online video lecture which is conducted by Rayat Shikshan Sanstha Satara, Sadguru Gadge Maharaj College Karad under the ROSE project. Myself, Mrs. Zadge sir, conducting here the 7th lecture from the topic reproduction in lower and higher plants. This is our last lecture of this topic. In previous lecture, we have completed the post-fertilization events which are occurring in the angiospermic plants and the different types of embryo, that is the dicot embryo and monocot embryo, and what are the differences between endospermic seed and non-endospermic seeds. Okay. Now related to this seed, some points we have to study in this lecture and some special concepts which we can observe in some angiospermic plants that we have to see in this lecture. So first of all, the characteristics which is related to the seed that we have to see here, that is the dormancy. So what is meant by dormancy here? The dormancy means there is a state of metabolic arrest that helps in the survival of organism during the adverse environmental condition. Means here the organisms are showing a state of metabolic arrest, means for some time or for some days or for some months the metabolism of that organism is getting arrested, getting stopped, because there may be adverse environmental conditions for that organism to survive, and therefore to survive in that particular adverse environmental conditions, those organisms are showing state of metabolic arrest. That condition is known as a dormancy. And the particular definition about this dormancy we can see here: the structural or physiological adaptive mechanism for survival is called as a dormancy. So the different organisms, or particularly we can see in case of angiospermic plants here, seeds are showing dormancy characteristic, because the seeds have to survive for the plant for the generation which is grown in the next year. So these seeds are showing here structural and physiological adaptive mechanism for survival, and this dormancy is playing very important role in these angiospermic plants. And the viable seeds are germinating only after the completion of dormancy period. Means the seeds which are present inside the angiospermic plants or the fruits, and these seeds are germinating only after the completion of dormancy period. These seeds are viable seeds are there. What is mean by viable seed? The seeds which are having ability to germinate, those seeds are called as a viable seeds, and these viable seeds are germinating only after the completion of dormancy period. Before dormancy the seeds will not get germinate. That is the important characteristics feature which is present in the angiospermic seed here. Now related to this dormancy period here, the examples are given in the NCERT book that we have to study under the need points. First characteristic feature related to the seed here: the dehydration and dormancy of mature seeds are crucial for storage of seeds. Means when we are storing the seeds for long period, at that time the two important characteristic features are very much important, that is the dehydration of seeds and dormancy of mature seeds. These two characteristics are very much important, because without dehydration we can't store the seeds for a long period, and if the dormancy period is not maintained in the mature seeds, this is also not possible to store the seeds for long term period. So when we have to store the seeds for long term period, the dehydration and dormancy of mature seeds playing important role, that we have to remember. Next here, some seeds can remain alive for hundreds of years. The examples of some plants we have to study here, that these seeds of that plants are showing the viability or the dormancy period which is about hundreds of years. Means after hundreds of years those seeds are germinating and showing the plantlet development. Okay, so first example we have to see here. The example is the seeds of lupin, that is Lupinus arcticus, arcticus, excavated from Arctic tundra. The plant seeds of this Lupinus are excavated from Arctic tundra, and the seeds are germinated, flowered after an estimated record of 10,000 years of dormancy. means these seeds were formed ago, 10,000 years ago. The seeds are present in that Arctic tundra, and those seeds are excavated during the excavation, and afterwards those seeds are sown into the soil. They are getting germinated and flowered, and there is a record of about 10,000 years of dormancy is shown by the seeds of this lupin. So let us see the plant here, Lupinus articus. Here these are the violet colored flowers, these are the plants, and these are the seeds. In the second picture you can see these seeds are of the lupinous plants, which are showing a dormancy period of about 10,000 years. Okay, so this is the first example. Now the second example here, a recent record of 2000 years old viable seeds is of date palm. Date palm plant is there, which is having the name Phoenix dactylifera, discovered during the archaeological excavation at King Herod's palace near the Dead Sea. So there is a palace of the King Herod's palace near the Dead Sea, and during the excavation of that palace, the seeds of Phoenix dactylifera was discovered, and these seeds are having the dormancy of about 2000 years ago, and after 2000 years uh, these seeds are getting germinated and flowered. So this is the plant Phoenix dactylifera, and these are the seeds, Phoenix dactylifera seeds, which are getting germinated of after about 2000 years later. So the dormancy period, it is maybe of hundreds of years ago or thousands of years. We can see here the dormancy of seeds. This is one characteristics of seed. Okay, now the next point related to these angiospermic plants. Some plants are showing an important characteristic feature that is known as a parthenocarpy. What is that technique or the term that we have to see here? This term is coined by Knoll in 1902. Parthenocarpy term is coined by Knoll in 1902. Here what happens? The formation of fruits is taking place without fertilization. So what is the concept here, students? See, there is a formation of fruits without fertilization. As in previous some lectures we have seen, the pollination is taking place in the angiospermic plant. After pollination, fertilization is taking place, and after fertilization the ovule is getting converted into seed and ovary is getting converted into fruit. This is the normal process of the formation of fruit in the angiospermic plants. But here in some plants there will be formation of fruit is taking place without fertilization, and that technique is known as here parthenocarpy. Okay, and these fruits are called as a parthenocarpic fruits because the technique here is used is known as a parthenocarpy, and with the help of parthenocarpy the fruits are developed. Those are known as a parthenocarpic fruits, and here the fruits are developed without fertilization, hence there will be no seed formation inside the fruit, and therefore these fruits are also called as a seedless fruits because seeds are formed after fertilization. Ovules are converted into seeds. That process we have seen in the previous some lectures. If there is fertilization, then ovule is getting converted into seed. But here fertilization is not taking place, and therefore the seeds are not formed in the fruit, and hence the fruits are called as a seedless fruits. Okay, and here examples are given: grapes, banana, pineapple. Nowadays we can take from market papaya, which is a seedless, watermelon, which is also seedless. Some fruits are developed naturally with this technique parthenocarpy, but if we have to induce parthenocarpy in some fruits or in some plants, we have to use some special types of chemicals. Which are those chemicals? Here the parthenocarpy can be induced by application of growth hormones like gibberellins. The different types of growth hormones are secreted in plants, and one of that here is the gibberellin, and if the gibberellin treatment is given to the flower, at that time the flower is getting converted into fruit and there will be no seed formation inside the fruit, and hence here parthenocarpy is artificially we can induce with the help of this gibberellin treatment. These are some points regarding to the parthenocarpy. Okay, now the next point here, that is again one concept related to this angiospermic plant, that is apomixis. Apo means without and mixis means mixing, means there is some plant formation or the organism formation is taking place without mixing. What is that concept? Here, formation of new individuals through asexual reproduction without involving the formation and fusion of gametes. So what is meant by apomixis here? The formation of new individual is taking place through asexual reproduction and there is no formation and fusion of gametes, means there is no mixing of gametes, and hence the term here used, that is apomixis. Okay. Now in some plants seeds are formed without fertilization. So here in some plants we can see formation of seed is taking place without fertilization, and this is called as a apomixis, and the seeds are called as a apomictic seeds, means without fertilization seed development is taking place, and such seeds are called as here apomictic seeds. Here example, some species of Asteraceae and some grasses, means some species of Asteraceae family and some grasses are showing development of the apomictic seeds. These examples we have to remember. Then there are methods of apomixis, means how the new individuals are formed without fusion or without sexual reproduction. So these are the two methods of the apomixis. First is the apogamy and second is the apospory. Okay, what is the difference between these two, that we have to see here. The first type here is the apogamy. Here apo means without and gamy means gamete. So here formation of individual is taking place without gamete formation. So in apomixis, when a gametophyte produces embryo, that is sporophyte, without gametes, it is called as a apogamy. Means here directly gametophyte is producing embryo, that is sporophyte. No gamete formation is there and hence it is known as apogamy. Example here, some ferns, that is some pteridophytic plants, that is ferns, are showing such type of development, that is known as apogamy. Okay. The second type of apomixis, that is known as apospory. Here apo means without and spory means spores. Without spores the development is taking place, hence it is called as apospory. What happens, you see here, in apomixis when diploid sporophytic cell produces a diploid gametophyte without undergoing meiosis, it is called as apospory. Just revise this point. What happens in apospory? Diploid sporophytic cell is producing diploid gametophyte without undergoing meiosis. Means here no meiosis, no spore formation is taking place and directly the diploid sporophytic cell is converting into or developing into diploid gametophyte. Such condition is called as apospory. Here examples are orange and mango, where the without spore formation directly diploid gametophyte will be formed. So by using these two methods, apogamy or apospory, in some plants we have to see the development of the new individual without gamete formation or without spore formation. Okay, these are the two methods. Now we have to see what are the two different types of apomixis. Let us see the types of apomixis here. The two types of apomixis are there. First is known as a recurrent apomixis and second is known as a non-recurrent apomixis. First we have to see here recurrent apomixis. So here what happens? The embryo sac is rising either from the archosporial cell or part of the nucellus. So what happens, you see here, embryo is developed from directly archosporial cell or from the part of nucellus. Means here the ovule structure we have seen in previous lectures. In that nucellus part is there and from that nucellus or directly the archosporial cell which is present inside the nucellus, from that embryo sac is developed. That type here is known as a recurrent apomixis. And here two different methods in this recurrent apomixis we can see. The first method is known as a diplospory and second method is known as a apospory. So in diplospory what happens, you see here, unreduced embryo sac is derived from diploid megaspore mother cell. See here what happens, the diploid megaspore mother cell directly develops the embryo sac, that means diploid embryo sac will be formed from this diploid megaspore mother cell, because there is no meiosis is taking place, and directly diploid embryo sac will be formed or diploid megaspore will be formed, and therefore this technique or mechanism here is known as a diplospory, because unreduced embryo sac is derived. Unreduced means there is no reductional division is taking place in the diploid megaspore mother cell. In previous some lectures we have seen the diploid megaspore mother cell undergoes a meiotic division to form 4 haploid megaspores. Out of that, one chalizial megaspore is functional, and from that embryo sac will be formed. That process is normal process, but in some plants here, for example here given Taraxacum, the example here is the Taraxacum plant, which shows development of the embryo sac directly from the diploid megaspore mother cell without reduction. Such type of development is known as a diplospory, and in some cases here nucellar cell directly gives rise to apomictic embryo sac, means directly nucellar cell is forming the embryo sac, which is known as apomictic, and it is without spore formation, means there is no megaspore formation. From the nucellar cell directly embryo sac will be formed, there is no megaspore formation, and hence the term here used as apospory. Apo means without and spory means spore. No megaspore formation, but directly nucellar cell is divided into embryo sac. In this way, the recurrent apomixis is taking place by different methods. Firstly, we have seen direct nucellar part is taking place, that is known as apospory, and directly the diploid mother cell is taking part in the embryo sac formation, that is known as a diplospory. Okay, now let us see the next point here, non-recurrent apomixis. What happens, see here, here embryo is arising either from the egg by parthenogenesis or from some other haploid cells of the gametophyte through apogamy. So the two methods are there for the embryo formation here. First, directly by the egg by parthenogenesis, means there is no gamete fusion, direct only egg or female gamete is taking part in the development of embryo. This is known as a parthenogenesis, and or from other haploid cells of the gametophyte. म्हणजे here without egg other haploid cells which are present, that means synergids are there or antipodal cells are there, and from that other haploid cells of the gametophyte, if the embryo is arising, that type here known as the apogamy, and such type of apomixis is known as a non-recurrent apomixis. Okay, and generally plants produced by this non-recurrent apomixis are sterile, means they are not reproducing sexually. That we have to remember. Here example is a Nicotiana. Nicotiana tabacum, that is tobacco plant, is showing such type of apomixis where directly egg or other haploid cells without fusion of the gamete, the embryo formation is taking place direct by the egg from the process parthenogenesis or from other haploid cells of the gametophyte through the apogamy. Okay, so here you have to remember, by apospory apomixis is taking place, that is known as a recurrent apomixis, and by apogamy, if apomixis is taking place, that is known as a non-recurrent. In short, we have to differentiate in between these two types. By apospory recurrent apomixis will be there, and by apogamy non-recurrent apomixis will be there. Okay, so these are the related terms or the explanation about the apomixis. Now the last point here from this topic, that is polyembryony. Here poly means many and embryony means embryo, means if suppose more than one embryo is developed inside the seed, then such condition is called as a polyembryony. So what is the definition here? Development of more than one embryo inside the seed, it is described as a polyembryony. Very simple term is there. Generally inside the seed one embryo is formed, but if there is formation of more than one embryo, that is known as a polyembryony. It was first noticed by Leeuwenhoek in 1719 in the seeds of Citrus genus. So in 1719 here Leeuwenhoek was first noticed in the seeds of citrus, there is formation of more than one embryo in the seed, and that term is given here is the polyembryony. Now this polyembryony is also having two types. The first type here, it is known as the adventive polyembryony, and second type is known as a cleavage polyembryony. So first of all we have to see what is meant by adventive polyembryony. So when the embryo is developing directly from the diploid cell of the nucellus and integuments, as we observe in the citrus, such type of polyembryony is called as the adventive polyembryony. You see here, generally embryo is formed by the fusion of male gamete and female gamete, that we have seen in previous lectures. Normal fertilization is taking place and male and female gamete fuses together to form diploid zygote, and that diploid zygote converts into embryo. This is the normal process. But in some plants like citrus, what happens, you see here, embryo develops directly from the diploid cell of nucellus. Means the nucellus which is present surrounding the embryo sac, from that nucellus some cells are forming embryo, or the integuments which are present around the embryo sac, that is outer integument and inner integument. From that integument also some plants like citrus are showing here development of the embryo, and hence such type of embryo development is called as the adventive polyembryony. And here the nucellar adventive polyembryony is having greater significance in the horticulture. Means when we have to develop number of plants, at that case here nucellar adventive polyembryony is playing very important role, that we have to remember here. The nucellar adventive polyembryony is present in the citrus, because in citrus the nucellar cells are taking part in the formation of embryo. That is mean by adventive polyembryony. Okay, so this is the first method of this polyembryony. Now the second method of this polyembryony is the cleavage polyembryony. This is also very simple method. Cleavage means breakdown, breaking. So here the zygote proembryo, it is dividing or cleaving into many parts or units, and each unit is developing into embryo. So very simple method is there. Zygote is dividing into first two-celled proembryo, that we have seen in the previous lecture. Zygote single celled stage, it is dividing into two-celled proembryo, upper larger micropylar cell and smaller chalizial cell. Okay, afterwards this proembryo is dividing into many cells, and from each cell, when the embryo is developing, at that condition it is known as a cleavage polyembryony, because here the zygote proembryo or the zygote converts into proembryo, and that proembryo is dividing, that is cleaving into many small cells, and then each cell or each unit is developing into embryo. This method here, it is known as a cleavage polyembryony. So in this way we can observe the two types of polyembryony in angiospermic plants here, that we have to remember. And what is the difference between these two, adventive polyembryony and cleavage polyembryony? Okay, so in this way the topic, that is reproduction in the lower and higher plants, that we have completed with this lecture. And thank you for watching these video lectures. We will stop here.